You're listening to Mic Drop Moments, a podcast brought to you each week with me, your host, Sandra Garlick. During the podcast, I invite guests to share their amazing stories, knowledge and top tips, including their mic drop moments, especially for you. I also share my learning and inspiration about life, business growth and visibility. I'm delighted to bring the Mic Drop Moments podcast to you each week to inspire and motivate you to achieve. Enjoy the podcast and don't forget to leave a review. Mic Drop Moments is sponsored by Grow Radio. Want to launch your own podcast? Grow Radio are here to help. Grow Radio has launched and supported countless podcasts, and they'd love to do the same for you. Just hit record and they'll handle the rest. No editing stress, no technical faff, just a great podcast released when you want. Need a little extra support? Grow Radio's workshops and courses make getting started easy. Let's bring your podcast to life. Message Grow Radio on social media. Let's make this happen. Welcome to another episode of Mic Drop Moments, and I really have been banging on all about sales, and here's another episode all about your sales ecosystem and how to create it. And I'm really passionate about this, and I just want to share so much with you. So this whole month has been a month of sales, and today we're talking about something I absolutely love because it's the bit that makes it feel easier, lighter, and a little bit more predictable, I think, and that is creating your sales ecosystem. And most people think that sales is just a single moment, one conversation, you pitch, you get a yes, you get a no, or whatever you get. But it's not. It's actually a journey, and it's a whole ecosystem, and it's a flow. It's a flow right from that initial contact right the way through to that contact becoming a customer or client. And once you've built the ecosystem, sales become so much more consistent and easier. And so today I'm looking a little bit into visibility, which of course is my thing, creating clear offers, making buying a little bit easier, and nurturing that warm audience, and then following up because you need the systems that actually work to create those sales. So let's look at visibility as the entry point really of the sales process. And if people don't know you exist, how are you going to convert them into a client? And you'll hear me banging on and on about being the world's best kept secret. Now, visibility doesn't mean actually being everywhere, and I'm seeing a lot of people doing this right now. They feel they've got to go to the opening of an envelope. Well, you don't. You just have to appear to be everywhere or be somewhere consistently, and that doesn't mean being in every single room. And I think, when I recently, a lot of people have come up to me if I've been in a room and said, "Oh my God, you're everywhere right now." And I'm not actually, but that's my visibility working for me and proving that you can appear to be everywhere even when you're not. And visibility builds familiarity. And in last week's episode, I was talking about how people come up to me and they feel as if they actually know me, whereas I don't really know them, but they've just been following me, listening to me, and therefore they feel as if they know me. I'll just tell you a quick story here. I remember getting into a lift once and saying to this chap, "Oh, hi, hello, how are you?" And he looked a bit blank at me, but he says, "Yeah, I'm fine, really, really fine." And it turns out I didn't know him at all. It wasn't until I got out the lift and I said to my friend, "Who was that? He looked really familiar." And I just felt as if I really knew him. And she said, oh, that's a celebrity chef. And it was the Good Food Show at the NEC. And I just got into that lift and instantly thought I knew him. And he probably had that all the time, so just went along with it. And sometimes I'm places and people come up to me and they really believe that they know me, but I haven't got a clue who they are. And it's not that I'm being ignorant, it's just my visibility working for me. And there are some things I do to make them feel comfortable and to go along with a conversation and say, you'll have to forgive me, I don't remember who you are, or I'm terrible with names or something like that. But that is the thing. Once you're very visible, people believe they know you, and familiarity does build that trust, and trust builds that conversations, as we've said. So think about who might be seeing you and where they've seen you before they've bought from you, because that's the other thing I always do. I always ask my clients, where did you hear about me, or what brought you to me, or where did we first meet? Because that is really valuable intel for me. That helps me build my data. That helps me to know whether I'm getting return on investment for sponsorships, exhibitor opportunities, speaking opportunities, and it helps me to move forward and know where I need to be and where I probably don't need to be. So, right, okay. So clear offers. Now, if you've got really clear offers, that helps to create confident buyers. People don't buy when they're confused. If they're not really clear on what you're selling, they're going to hesitate before they buy because they don't really know what they're getting. So offers really should identify what the problem is, what the transformation's going to be, the actual process you're going to use, the price. I keep going on about this. Be transparent about your pricing. I always share my pricing, and also what the next step is. So, quite often, and I've done this myself. I've explained something to somebody and I haven't really given them enough information in the way that they need it. And different people need different information in different ways. And when you're speaking to somebody, if you see a confused look, that's when you should be questioning them. What are you looking for? How can I help you? What are you looking to achieve? What objectives have you got? And that helps you speak to them in the language that they will understand so that they know if the offer is right for them. So clarity does create confidence, and it makes people able to buy from you much, much easier. And it's the easy yes, isn't it? It's creating that easy yes. So easy yes, nearly got that confused myself. People don't want to jump through hoops to buy. So if you're selling something online, the more clicks they have to go through, the more confused they get, and they just get fed up. So if everything is linked from your homepage, maybe you need to send them directly to the page they need. If they've got to read through pages and pages and pages of sales, do have those buy now links in there at periods through the page, because if you're anything like me, I don't read sales pages. I look at their bullet points at the top and I scroll to the how much is it. I don't want to know all the blurb, all the sales bump. It just isn't what I want to see. So everybody buys in a different way. I'm looking for links that work, links that go to those error pages 404. You don't want those. You want links that go directly to the sales page to enable them to buy straight away. You want the clear pricing on there. You want a crisp explanation, not too wordy, just that tells them exactly what it is, and they need to know the next step. I'm briefly interrupting this podcast to tell you about something new. It's not a course, it's not a program, it's the Amplify experience, a curated space where visibility meets strategy and your voice becomes your greatest asset. If you're ready to amplify your voice, your personal brand and your business, visit the show notes for the link to book your discovery call. Let's chat and see if the Amplify experience is right for you. Now back to the podcast. I know that as people want to buy sometimes, and the very thing that people want to buy, they can't find. I remember a couple of months ago, I was trying to buy something from somebody and I really couldn't find what I wanted to buy. I went on their website, I looked for it, I couldn't find it there. There was no links anywhere that took me to it. I went into an email they had, I couldn't find it. I went onto their social posts, I couldn't find it. Now, I really, really wanted to buy from them. I went to all that effort to do that and I gave up. I just couldn't do it. And I've gone onto a site before and tried to buy off somebody and the buying page doesn't work. And the process, payment won't go through. What do? Give up. So you want to make that easy yes pathway as clear and as easy and as clickable and accurate as possible. And just simplify. Think about how you like to buy. Think about what you do. And that's how I judge it. What do I like to do when I like to buy? And I like to go straight to that buy now button. I've just bought some perfume and I wanted to buy it. I knew where I wanted to buy it from. I knew exactly what I wanted to buy. But it was really hard to find the exact perfume I wanted. It took me 3 attempts to go through that buying process. Now, I've been wanting to buy that perfume for about 3 or 4 weeks now. And it's taken me 3 or 4 weeks to actually find the time to sit down, to go back to that website to buy it. I might have seen something else. Now, I only wear one perfume, so I knew exactly what I wanted to buy. But can you imagine if there was multiple sellers all selling that? I would have gone to the one with the easier route. So that's just something to leave you to think about there. And then you have to nurture. Once you've been visible and you've got your offers out there, you need to nurture your audience. So you're building that audience through your visibility, and nurturing your audience isn't actually selling, it's connecting. So quite often I'm nurturing my audience with different content, but I'm not actually selling everything. And that's using stories, behind the scenes insights. It's about using all sorts of different things that you can find, helpful tips, email newsletters, checking in with past clients periodically, sending them real value, not always a pitch, and just generally connecting in a really, really lovely way. Yes, I do sales to my nurtured clients as well, but periodically I'm putting value in there as well. So it's not all about sell, buy my stuff. And one thing I never do and I find really icky is I don't sell into people's inboxes. Unless they ask me for a link, I will never sell into inboxes. And what I mean by inboxes is messaging such as LinkedIn inboxes, Messenger inboxes, Instagram inboxes. I will never do a cold pitch and I will never sell into somebody's inbox unless they've asked me for that link. And I think one of the most underrated sales tools is the follow-up and your follow-up system. And I talked about this right back at the start of this sales success topic in this batch of podcasts. And I talked about actually, it's really, really good to follow up. And that might be a weekly check-in of your warm leads. I use a leads tracker. It might be a reminder system for old inquiries just to check back in. Reconnecting with people after speaking engagements, or just following up after an event, or maybe a quarterly check-in for former clients. Sometimes I'll go back to former clients and just check in, say, hi, how are you? How are things going? And sometimes people come back out of the blue. You might have worked with them years ago, and then they come back and they say, oh, I'm doing something different now. I wonder if you can help me. And the relationship was kept warm. They've stayed on my list. They continue to read my emails, and the time was just right for them. So follow-up is actually keeping that relationship alive and keeping that connection alive. One thing I always do, and I do it every single 90 days. And it's not just all about the numbers, it's about the energy and it's about the results and it's about carrying out a review. And I look back and look what I've really enjoyed delivering this year or over the last 90 days. So I will do a yearly reflection, but I always do a quarterly one as well. What has been a real drag and a drain on my energy? What haven't I enjoyed delivering? What clients have I really enjoyed working with, and why have I enjoyed working with them? What's energized me throughout the time I've been working and delivering? What offers felt really aligned? And likewise, which ones didn't and will I not repeat? What has worked? What has sold? What hasn't sold? And what visibility, and I talked about that ROI, what has created the best opportunities, the best conversations, the best connections, because that's why I say, would I do that again? And then what would I happily never do again? And that becomes your blueprint for the quarter or the year ahead. That review piece is really, really valuable. And if you're listening to this right now, it's at the end of 2025 at the time of recording. And this is a great time to do that review piece. Look back right to your sales at the start of the year. And that's what I've been doing. I've gone through January, February, March, which was the end of my previous financial year. And then I've compared it to what I'm doing now. It's like chalk and cheese. What I was delivering at the beginning of the year, I'm no longer delivering now. And also my sales have increased because I'm doing things that are more aligned and not doing the things that didn't bring me joy. So it's a good reflection piece, and I will look right the way back. But I also do that at the end of my financial year, which is at the end of March. That's why I do it quarterly, because it gives me a good review of that quarter. Then I look at the previous quarter, and that helps me to plan for the quarters ahead. I hope you felt that. I hope you found that really useful. And that ecosystem, that sale consistency comes from that ecosystem, the ecosystem that you build that works for you. And my ecosystem may not be yours, but hopefully that's given you an insight and a few ideas. And remember, sales rarely comes from a single conversation. It comes from really good, strong visibility. Nurturing your audience, refining your offers, and delivering what brings you joy, and then treating every conversation like a connection rather than a transaction. Yes, we need the transactions to run a business, but actually we're dealing with people here, and I like to think of everybody as a connection and a relationship that I want to nurture in the long term, not just for a quick sale. So I'd like to invite you to let me know how you're getting on. Subscribe and make sure you don't miss any of these episodes. And I'd like to wish you an amazing week. Keep showing up and keep building those relationships. And all importantly, I'd love to know what you're planning for 2026. Take care, and I'll see you next week. Thank you for listening to the Mic Drop Moments podcast. I hope you enjoyed it. Join me next week for more inspiration, learning, and top tips. Want to work with me on your business growth and strategy, speaking, or simply growing your audience? Just get in touch. Visit womanwho.co.uk to find out how you can start your speaking and visibility journey, or even feature on a future podcast. Don't forget to subscribe so you don't miss next week's podcast. And if there are any topics you would like to hear, just get in touch with me, your host, Sandra Garlick.